seem in the last week and a bit that my dreams of wowing everybody with this toy basically down the toilet, because I think everybody in the entire United Kingdom has one now. Why? Well, when I bought this toy it was about £69.99. Now Toys R Us have gone mental and put it down to something like £34.99. So it seems a lot of people have this toy. However, in the slight chance that somebody hasn't got it yet and is sort of wavering on the edge, then this video is probably for you. Plus, it's kind of a Christmas special. I don't know if I'll do a video next week, but we shall see. We shall see. It is, of course, as the title suggests, Masterpiece Grimlock. And oh boy, what a lovely toy this is. First off, can we talk about this box? This box is awesome. The Soundwave box I had a lot of problems with. Why do I have a lot of problems with? Because this sleeve thing here, this sleeve thingy, the box opens from that end. So the sleeve has to be taken off to basically get the box open. And it ruins the sleeve, ruins the box, makes it look not as nice as it should do. This box opens from the side. So there we go. It's also in the brand new Stark Transformers branding, which is really nice. I do love it. And it also has a nice big picture of the Tyrannosaur mode front and centre with the little Dinobot mode underneath there. It comes with various things on the back. I'm not going to show you that exactly, but I do like the Autobot symbol on the side there, sort of splashed across two ends. And you also get a little tech spec on the side there. The only thing I think that could have improved this box is a picture of the old box art. If anybody who has bought the Age of Extinction Evolution toys of Strafe, Bumblebee, and there's somebody else who I'm forgetting, Slag, I think it is, Slag / Slug, then they will know that they've got pictures of the old box art on there as well, on the sides. It could have done with that maybe on that side, maybe, because there's nothing really on that side. So maybe it could have done with that there. But that's the only nitpicky quibble that I have with this toy. So let's have a look anyway. Let's open her up and see what's inside. Well, as with Soundwave, you're looking at a premium toy here. And basically the packaging reflects that. You get some very nice translucent see-through stuff showing you basically Grimlock's tiny Dinobot mode. And obviously his crown, his concussion blaster, and his sword there. They've got translucent bits on. Why, I wonder? Well, you will find out in a little while. So in this box, like I say, you get first off his Energo sword, which is a massive meaty hunk of plastic. This is really something strong. It's got some really nice red chrome on there as well, and a really nice sort of obvious light piping there as well. Which is very nice. His concussion blaster, which is pretty much the same as the one that you got in his G1 Dinobot mode, which is really, really nice. The problem is it's got slight bubbles in there, but that's fine. Again, not something I really have a problem with, but that is really, really, really nice. And his crown. Lovers of the Marvel comics in the 80s will know that very briefly Grimlock became the Autobot leader, never mind the Dinobot leader, and went a bit mental, declaring himself as the king of all Autobots and basically saying, "Aren't I amazing? I should wear a crown because of this." And so he did, and then put Blaster in the variable voltage harness. Go read up, kids. It's all online if you know where to look. And of course you get this meaty gentleman in here. Oh my word. Wow. Yeah, this guy's big. And he's heavy. And he feels masterpiecey. Now this guy originally came out in 2009. And sadly I didn't get him back then. I wasn't really into the Masterpiece line at that point. And so I didn't buy him, much to my regret. And then next time I thought, you know what? I think it was Kal-El Prime and good old Mikey said that this guy's awesome, you need to get this guy. And by the time I went to get this guy, sadly he was gone. And when I did try and get him, he was uber expensive. So yeah, that wasn't going to happen basically. But I have him now and he's lovely. And I don't care that sometimes the plastic isn't as maybe as good quality as it should be. For instance, you can quite easily see through his wings on his back there, but that's fine. I have no problem with this. A lot of people seem to have a problem with that. I personally don't. Now, Grimlock, I'm not going to do a great big bio on Grimlock. Suffice to say that he's Grimlock. You either love him or hate him. There seems to be a bit of a movement at the moment which says we hate Grimlock, we don't like the Dinobots. I'm a child of the mid-80s. I was born in 1976, so I was 10 in 1985. Of course I love the Dinobots. Saying that you love the Dinobots in 1985 was, you know, the definition of cool if you like Transformers. Obviously not if you like football or anything manly. But if you like Transformers and nerdy stuff, then yeah, of course, saying that you like the Dinobots was cool. They were cool in the cartoon, even though they were treated shoddily, shall we say. They started off as badasses, did the Dinobots, and none more badass than Grimlock. They were created by Wheeljack and given simple brains for something he's never, ever lived down. And yeah, they were created as muscle for the Dinobots, really, against things like Devastator, and that's basically what they were. However, they were easily swayed by the Decepticons into becoming Decepticons sometimes. See War of the Dinobots. All Megatron had to do was say, "Ha ha! You think you're as good as Optimus Prime, but Optimus Prime leads." Oh yeah, good point. Tell you what, let's turn evil, and various things like that. However, by season 2, their badassery had sort of been established for quite a while, but their rogueness had been turned down, and especially with Grimlock, he was much more willing to do what Optimus Prime told him to do. Then the movie happened, and this is a turning point for the Dinobots in the cartoon. Whereas before they were loose cannons, badasses, and rogues, in the movie, they turned into the most obedient, lapdoggish Autobots that you could ever hope to meet, and basically, yeah, they just did whatever they were told, to the point that they would just sit around like children and listen to Cup's stories. At this point, people who liked the Dinobots felt that something was amiss, and by season 3 something was definitely amiss, because whereas the Dinobots had been a bit thick before, by season 3 they were utterly stupid and dependent on the Autobots to even remember to keep fucking functioning. And Grimlock became Rodimus Prime's lapdog, basically. And it's a shame to see how that turned out, because, you know, they had turned from complete and utter badasses to basically the comic relief. I mean, Call of the Primitives, while an awesome episode, and a really awesome episode, doesn't work out well for Grimlock, because basically they are told, because you're stupid, then you can stop Tornajon. And that's how it pans out, because of his stupidity at just being able to flick an on switch and an off switch. There we go, he saves the universe. I mean, in a way, it's kind of a clever concept, but I never saw Grimlock like that. I preferred Grimlock's new brain, which is kind of a tragic story. You remember that Simpsons episode where Homer had the crayon up his nose and it turned him intelligent? And by the end of the episode, he realised that being intelligent is a burden, so he had to take the crayon out and become stupid again. Similar kind of thing, or the other way around, sorry, he stuck the crayon up his nose. The similar sort of thing with Grimlock's new brain. He becomes intelligent because of a short circuit in his systems, and he bestows that intelligence on Computron and the Technobots, and becomes stupid again. And it's kind of a tragic concept that Grimlock only has friends and is only really liked by the Autobot regime when he's stupid. Hence me thinking that Autobots are evil. But there you go. That was Grimlock in the cartoons. In the comics, very, very different. Favourite character is Simon Furman, used wherever he would able to use him, to the point where basically he becomes the saviour of the Autobots. Yeah, he's basically just the badass of all badasses, and wherever Furman can use him, he does use him. Not used so much in the IDW verse for some reason. I don't know really why that is. When Furman's been in the IDW verse, it has been utilised, but not so much otherwise, and that's a shame, I think. But yeah, certainly in the Marvel comics, you want to see Grimlock at his best. Late run Marvel comics when Furman took over, definitely, that's where you need to be. Turns out that Grimlock isn't stupid at all. He says things like "me Grimlock" and acts stupid so he doesn't have to converse with Autobots, because basically he hates Autobots. He's hyper intelligent, but because of his personal credo that intelligence makes you weak, brute force is the only way. Basically, he's a Decepticon in Autobot clothes. Because of his credo, he sort of has to tone down his own intelligence and make out that he is a bit stupid because he doesn't want to be thought of as a nerd, even though he practically, basically is. But the Dinobots, certainly in Furman's mind, utilise more as a gang than a sub-branch of Autobots. And I have no problem with this. I like the Dinobots like that. So, bearing that in mind, let's have a look at Masterpiece Grimlock. Well, he is a lovely, lovely toy. Like Masterpiece Soundwave, he is my joint favourite. Basically because of his harkening back to the Generation 1 Grimlock. Masterpiece Soundwave, very much an homage to the Generation 1 Soundwave. A few differences, not many. Basically, he's the same toy when you get down to it. Grimlock, very much the same sort of feel. He is basically his G1 toy done properly, or done better than they could have at the time. He's really, really cool and shiny. He has all the appropriate shiny parts on him. So he's got the shiny chest. His eyes are shiny, not light piping. He's got the massive toothy bits hanging out of his arm there. So it makes him look all spiky. He's got massive chunky legs with the cartoon colouring on it, if you can see there. But yeah, all shiny. He's even got the translucent bit in the middle of his chest like you would have in the toy. And on the back, this bit here. Now this bit, some people have been saying, oh, it's kibble, they could have got rid of the kibble. But anytime you see Grimlock drawn or animated or anything, you will always see these bits hanging off the back of him. So, it's really, that's just part of Grimlock's old robot mode these days. Even with the dino head hanging off the back there. It's just part of his mode. It's in every comic drawing that you will ever see of him, unless he's in an Action Master form, obviously. So, yeah, I mean, you can see that his legs are a bit different than his Generation 1 form, but other than that, he's really, really cool. He also has a neat little function. If you see on the back of his head there, I don't know if you can, he's got a little red nubbin. Now, obviously, his eyes in the comic were red, but you pull down on the nubbin and you get cartoon Grimlock because his eyes are now blue. So yeah, I prefer them red, if I'm being honest, because, well, more of a child of the comics than I am the cartoon. So I will always keep them red. And that's how he had him in the toy, basically. So, first things first, then we'll get his concussion cannon. That generally, for me, goes in his left fist, which has got articulated fingers, and you probably can't see that, but he's got an articulated fingers and an articulated thumb, and his gun generally, for me, fits in that fist. Let me fit that in. Fit that in there. And he's got a neat little function as well, where, and I will show this, he's got a little nub in there with a little hole, little post and a hole there. So you stick his little grip in there, and there's a little post on the gun which allows it to just steady it and keep it in like so, which is really, really cool. And he's also got his Energur sword. Let's get his Energur sword out. Like I say, really nice meaty kit this, and goes in his other hand. Again, he's got a little post there if that wants to be kept steady as you like. Now, I'm not sure if you'll be able to see this, but he does have a function where his arm basically has light piping, or a light in it. So if you switch it on, is it this one? Yes, it is this one. Basically, if you press a button on his arm at the back, that lights up red. Now I can see this very, very clearly. You probably can't because I've got lights shining on, but believe me, it does work. It's very weak, to be fair. It's not the best light. If it's dark, it looks great, and I'm sure there's plenty of videos out there that show that, but sadly mine won't allow me to. But I promise you, it does light up. That, the twin cannons there, not so much. It doesn't really light up, which is why I keep his cannon in that hand. But there, Grimlock all tooled up, looking really badass. I love his Energur sword. He never got to use it in the cartoon at all. Did in the comics a little bit, but not often. Again, something that Furman would add in, but not many other people. He also has his crown, if you want him to look like he did in the comic book there. That just fits on over his visor, like so. So he looks like King Grimlock. King Grimlock! Yeah, I don't display him like that ever. I mean, he does look nice, and it is a lot of gold chrome on him, so he's very blinged out. But it's not something I would ever have on him for any length of time. It does look pretty cool, but it's not Grimlock to me. Speaking of Grimlock, let's have a look at him in Dino mode, shall we? Because that's the show. That's what we all want to see. I love Grimlock in robot mode. I really, really do. But it's so rare that you ever saw him in robot mode. That you never really saw him in robot mode. It's as simple as that. So transforming him, really, really easy. It's just basically the old transform from the G1 version. So I'm not going to go through it step by step, because by now you guys should really know how to do that. But yeah, basically it's a case of putting his fists in his feet, which essentially you would have done. Pulling him away from his robot mode like so. Putting the legs in, pulling down the chest like so. Like that. And pulling his chest pieces out and in. Whoops. There you go. That just clips on like that. Then obviously his head goes in as well. Clip all that together. So basically you've got top half of Grimlock there with the bottom half hanging off. Now it differs, does the bottom half, by having, I don't know if you can see that, but it has his whole back bits of his tail actually curled up in the leg in a very clever piece of engineering. At least I like to think so. So all you need to do is just pull out that bit like so, and then that all goes up and around like that. Clips on around there, and the same for there. You just pull this bit up. Like I say, it's all very, very clever, and then this bit just curls around like so. I'm going to pull out the tips of his tail there as well. It's all very, very clever, is this, the way they've managed to get it sort of very similar to his old G1 transformation without having it exactly the same and a little bit boring and a little bit pedestrian to do. There's still enough of the masterpiece about it to give it some sort of oomph, as it were. Now I do find that his tail can be a bit awkward, as if it doesn't want to go together sometimes. It can be, but you're not going to break it. It's a very, very sturdy build. There's nothing wrong with the build quality of this guy. It's absolutely solid to the ground. But seriously, this is it. He is transformed at this point. It really is just a case of pulling his chest down, pulling his chest, robot chest down, Dinobot chest in and around, head down, and then do the tail, and that's it. That's Grimlock in Dinobot mode. That's as far as it goes. Now for a masterpiece toy, how cool is that? I think that's bloody cool for a masterpiece toy. Because usually it takes like half an hour to transform the bloody thing. You'll find a lot of masterpiece reviews, people, if they're not au fait with the transformation, will just rattle through it very, very, very quickly. And yeah, you don't need to do that with this toy at all. It just basically, that's it. You're done. And there he is in this glorious, glorious dinosaur mode, which is, you know, one of my favourite toys of all time, is Grimlock's dinosaur mode. Now, there's various little, sort of, not Easter eggs, but little details on here that you will absolutely love. For instance, there is some weird thing about his tail, whereas if you shunk it round, his head goes round. I don't know where that comes from. It's meant to do that. I don't know why it does that, but, you know, thanks for the Thanks for the thought there, Hasbro, no matter what it is. But his little dino tail goes from side to side there, which I appreciate. If you look on his back, he does have twin boosters like he did in the cartoon, so he obviously just flies through the air. And on the back of the box art as well, if you actually look on the back of the box art, he actually does that. His legs fully articulated, so they do go round and round. They can go swivel at the thigh there, and his elbow, stroke, knee is double jointed as well. And there's also joints on his little toesies there as well if you want to do that. So yeah, fully articulated at the back. His head, like I say, goes from side to side, doesn't really stay in any position there, but his jaw does open, which reveals a nice little flamethrower in there. He is descended from Godzilla after all, and he can obviously point, his head can point upwards as far as it is, so he can look at things, which is really nice. Now, one of the nice things about this toy is that his arms are fully articulated. Not really Tyrannosaur arms anymore, but they are on a ball joint at the shoulder there, so they can go front, back, all the way round, roundy, roundy, round, which is really bloody lovely. I do love that a bit. He's got elbow joint as well, and he's got 3 articulated fingers at the side there, so all 3 of his fingers, so if he wants to, he can point. Me Grimlock say that way. How cool is that? Well, I wouldn't point because, you know, people don't point these days, they do that. But he can't do that. But yeah, this is a joy. This toy is an absolute fucking joy. I am so happy I've got this guy. It's Masterpiece fucking Grimlock. It does mean that I'm going to have to get the other Masterpiece Dinobots. That's going to be expensive. Especially next year when Magnus is out as well. But I will eventually get the other Masterpiece Dinobots that the various companies are doing, because this guy deserves it. He can't just be on his own. It's so nice. Oh, one little thing as well. Now, in his original robot mode, in original Dinobot mode, sorry, as a kid, this guy had a little Diaclone seat that popped up. And as far as I'm aware, he does again. I've seen it in various videos. I've not popped it up myself, but let's have a go. There we go. Brilliant. So he's even got a little Diaclone seat that pops up there for a little Diaclone figure. No reason or rhyme for that at all. That is just an homage to the G1 and very much appreciated. Basically, if you've already spent the £34 that you need to get this guy, good on you. Well done you. If you haven't, do it. Do it now. He's more than worth 35 quid. Believe me. He was worth, as far as I'm concerned, 70 quid. So he's definitely worth 35. It's an amazing toy. It's such a nice homage to the G1, and yet a really good addition in itself. And he looks great next to things like Soundwave or Optimus Prime. I love Grimlock. I unabashedly love the Dinobots. So to have this guy in my hands right now is an absolute treat. It's a really good toy. Oh yeah, one last thing as well. I did nearly forget. You can actually change the eye colour on this guy as well. All you do is you lift his brain pan up, turn it round because there's like a little cross in the middle. I'll show you that in a second. There you go. Just if you actually see in there, I don't know if you can, there's a little cross in the middle. Turn it down and he's got blue eyes as he would have in the cartoon. Again, not something I ever do. He's red-eyed like he was in the comics and like he was in the toy. Grimlock has always got red eyes as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, what a cool toy. I mean, we're talking about a toy here, his and his teeth are chromed. So you've got to get him. You've got to get him. Definitely. Get him. That's it from me for this week, possibly for this year as well. I'm really sorry I've been lax on the videos. I think my next video will possibly be after Christmas Day, possibly Boxing Day or the day after, and I will be having a look at the Doctor Who Christmas special, and I will do that retrospective of the last series. It won't be as extensive as maybe I would have liked to have done, but I will do that. I'll get right on that as well. So if I don't see you before, guys, have a good Christmas. Listen to the Back to the 80s Christmas special. Tech Spectacular is back as well. So please have a look at that. The last one I did was Snarl yesterday. Have a great Christmas. Happy Hanukkah, happy Kwanzaa, happy holidays, everybody. And I'll see you next year. Bye-bye for now.